Hey,
Hi guys, welcome to the Insta Live. I'm Sahithi, co-founder, impact scientist, a gender equality influencer. I'll allow Vidhatri to introduce herself. She's our guest on Impact Talk today.
hi everyone. I'm Vidhatri. I work as a program manager with an integrated tourism services company. I also co-founded an organization called OPOS, where we provide a platform for people to talk about the stories that they've gone through, their experiences related to sex education, and how patriarchy has affected their lives.
That's great. So, to make our conversation more interesting, we have curated few questions for you, Vidhatri. So, I think we'll begin with our viewers would like to know a little more about you, like where you're from, your educational background, and a little more to go into the
Um,
details.
For sure, Saiti. So I've studied sociology for my undergrad and also BA in English honors. Right now, I'm working on OPOS because all through my life, I've worked in a lot of different organizations across the globe, from East Africa to Canada to India. And I
Right.
found that one of the things that a lot of different issues are based on is patriarchy. It all boils down to the simple issue of misunderstandings. It boils down to people assuming that something is not pure, or people assuming that something is not okay to talk about, all
Right.
because they've been told so.
Yes.
So that's a little about me. A little more about Opos is that we try to bring forward stories of people who've moved past this,
Right.
people who've struggled so much, um, people who have moved past such issues. For example, recently we did a story with a woman who's gone through a very hard pregnancy, gone through miscarriages, and how for the beginning of her term she was made to feel like she couldn't talk about it. She was made to feel like something that she went through was wrong,
Wrong.
and all of this because no one told her directly that this was wrong, but subtle instincts, subtle things that were told to her made her assume that that was wrong, right?
Yes. Yeah, many times that happens. The society tells you what's right and wrong. It's not objective to your situation alone. And
Exactly.
we would also like to know when exactly did you start Oppose? Like, which was the moment where you
Right.
felt that, no, this is the moment I have to go ahead and, start this organization?
This was all very random to me, actually. My sister came up with the idea for an Instagram page where
Right.
people can talk about these things about 2 years ago. And when she was telling me about her instances, her sexual abuse, the things that she has gone through, I realized that she and I had gone through similar events, but from a different point of view. The details were different, but a lot of people I knew were going through similar things. And I
Yes.
realized that needed to know. Along with that, one thing that had really influenced my decision towards Opos is that back in Canada, I had access to a lot of the resources that I do not have access to right now
Okay.
as someone living in Hyderabad now. I had
Like,
access to yeah, like I had access to a safe space on my university. I had access to resources. I had access to free condoms, free
yes.
menstrual pads.
Yes.
We're still living in a space where periods are considered non-essential. Period products are considered non-essential. This
Yes.
has to be something that we talk about, and if we don't talk about it, no one's ever going to say it.
Yeah. So, as we have been to a small executive course together on social impact transformation, and we've spoken a lot about feminism over there, and I know that you're a feminist, so I would like to hear feminism from your words because. Feminism is very objective again to every person, and it's a
Definitely.
personal belief and a state of mind. So,
Yeah.
define feminism in your words, and what is the immediate impact of feminism on you and around you.
Right. So, feminism to me is very simple. It's a fight against patriarchy. It's not. It's a fight towards equality, despite
Yes.
gender, sex, your caste, your creed, your nationality, everything and anything. It's a fight against patriarchy and patriarchal notions. I
Yes.
believe that the immediate impact is that we as a community would learn to live and grow together. As not, we would avoid compartmentalizing. We won't have divisions amongst ourselves, but grow as a community.
Right. So now let's talk about the word sex. So the word sex, it leaves a very damaging and an awkward silence when spoken in daily conversations. Even when two friends are talking about sex, it's not a normal thing. There is a hitch or there is a moment of surprise or awkwardness when you're talking about
Definitely.
sex. So, how is it even possible to normalize having an open dialogue about sex?
I think it's just to keep saying sex, to talk, to be blunt about it. The easiest way to normalize something is to open up and say, okay, if not for sex, how were you in this world? It is the most menial of physical acts that our entire world works on. 100% of the world has dabbed in or is a product of sex, but yet we refuse to speak about it. I
Yes,
think be blunt about it. Want to talk about sex? Call it sex, and talk about why people are so afraid to talk about sex, or you say S word, or say that thing that we won't talk about. Talk
yeah,
about why. Which notion of patriarchy was like put it into their heads that sex is a bad word. I think
yes.
even with Opos, one of the things that we do. Can you hear me, Saiti? I
Yes,
think
yes, yeah, we
there's
are
an
on.
issue.
There was a small hitch for a moment, but we are back online.
Yeah, okay. So I was saying that one of the things that we do with Opos is have one-on-one conversations because we believe that everyone goes through this process of learning that sex is impure or sex is a bad word. So when you
Yes,
boil it down to that space, I think, sorry,
yes,
yeah, is it better now?
yeah. You can go ahead.
Yeah. Saying that sex, and that's something that we found very useful with O's also. What we try to do is have a lot of one-on-one conversations. We talk to people
Right.
about what made them think that sex isn't acceptable, because no one goes up there and says, okay, you cannot use the word sex, it's not a coveted word, but people refuse to use it on their behalf. So talk to them, talk to people about what told them that sex is a bad word.
Right.
What about the society has told them that this isn't a word that you should use on an everyday basis, or what
Yeah.
about their sexual activity they felt that they shouldn't discuss, or why they shouldn't discuss.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's a lot to it, and it's just not so easy. And there's a process we need to take it from the school level, and maybe we can talk about it in the coming. What is the right age for discussing menstruation? Like
So
sex
sex
education.
education is a lifelong process. You start from the very beginning. You talk to little kids about consent at home. You talk to people about you. For example, my 2-year nephew, we keep trying to tell him that if he's not uncomfortable with something, he has to say it. No one just because they're family or they're not family can come and touch him or hug him, right? It begins from the little things.
Right.
But from a more
Right.
formal standpoint, I think about 8 7 to 11 years is where you start talking to little kids about the safe touch and unsafe touch. You start talking to them
Right.
about little things that, okay, when you go out with your family, not everyone can hug you if you're uncomfortable, and you should say
Right.
so. They
Yeah.
should be told that you have the right to say no, and no one, despite how close they are to you, has the right to breach that no. And
Yeah.
menstruation from about 11 years, which is again grade 5 to grade 6 area, where you start
Okay.
talking to boys and girls. Sex education is not gender, this thing, it has to be gender inclusive. Boys and girls
Yes.
about the sort of changes that people are going through in that space. What is
Now,
happening with
there's
your
a lot
bodies?
of
How will it
problem.
affect you?
Yes, there's a lot of problem if it is not discussed, in fact, with the other gender.
Yes,
It has to be inclusively taught.
100%.
Uh, yes.
Yeah. And that is
Um,
definitely it. That if If boys are not aware of what their friends are going through, how would they ever learn to be sensitive towards it, right?
Yes.
They will assume that this is some impure topic that they can never broach.
And I think there is a lot of impact of that in the society because that is why feminism is perceived in a wrong way. Feminism is perceived in a wrong
Yeah,
way for the same reason. So,
definitely. So people
what do
assume
you
that
think
with
is the most,
feminism, we are
for
right,
example? So,
right,
everybody is creating a different, taking a different journey to create an impact.
yeah,
So, according to you, what is your medium of bringing that deep impact? Because gender equality is,
right.
or feminism is a very delicate spot to touch.
Definitely. It's one of the most delicate spots to touch because it's a personal journey and you're going into someone's deepest, darkest spaces. Right now,
Yes,
the model we use for OPOs and what I also believe in is the conversation. Yes, it's low impact. Yes, it's not scalable in the longer run because we cannot address like 1,000 people in a day. But that one conversation, I think it's a ripple effect. If I talk to someone about why they're afraid to talk about sex or menses or menstruation, they might pass it on to their kids. They might pass it on to their mom. I believe that my mother is 100% more open to talking about menstruation right now that I have spoken to her about it. I constantly speak to her about it, and now that it is my line of work. So it's a ripple
right.
effect, I feel, and it's also more useful when it comes from someone you trust, when it comes from someone you believe in, right?
Yes,
I've done a lot of workshops with parents and kids together, and I believe that
right,
those are more impactful as opposed to workshops with kids only.
right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Vidhatri, as you are dealing with this stigmatic condition, and you have to hear a lot of stories, and it
Oh yeah.
is mentally and emotionally draining. So, usually people have a notion that, we who are working in the social impact space, uh, I think it doesn't come so easily because so many stories which are emotionally draining, they come unto us, and then
Oh yeah.
there is some kind of responsibility on your shoulder whether you can make a real change or not. So how do you deal with that? Like how do you deal with listening to real stories?
I wish I could have a definitive answer to this because day in and day out, I wonder how careful I have to be with someone else's story, how careful I have out there, right? Because I can't put something out there on
Right,
a platform and then
right,
have it be wrong or have issues by itself. I don't think there's
right.
a definitive guide. I think the point is to talk to someone, tell them this is what I'm doing, be very transparent, be as transparent as possible, and also at the end of the day, remember that you this is still work. You do have to sort of put yourself in those shoes, and then put yourself in these shoes where okay, this is still a story. This is still a story, and there's miles to go.
Right.
Because otherwise, these are stories that will get to you. These are stories that will affect your mental health because you start to relate to them on a personal level. You
Yes.
start to wonder if the impact we make is enough. You start to wonder if this will ever get better. That's a
Yeah.
journey, and I hope to be better at it because I still do relate to a lot of these things. I still take them personally. I let it affect my mood to an extent, but it's work in progress. You keep learning, you keep doing it.
I think that's the beauty also of it.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yes.
think this is one medium of work where you get to take so much. You take so much courage from people's journeys. I listen to
Yes.
someone talk about their journey through pregnancy, and I wonder, wow. I mean, that is courage to me. That is work. That is courage towards something they believe in, and I think that's also
Yes.
inspiring in many ways.
Yes. So that was a very, very, very lovely conversation. And I'm looking
Thank you
forward to
so
many to
much for
come with
having
you.
me. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I want to say I love the work that you are doing. Impact Scientist is such a Such a story to look up to. I take so much inspiration in all the work that you're doing. Your impact hours are something I think all of us look forward to, and I hope to be collaborating with you so much in the future.
Thank you so much. We let us say hi to all our
It with all of you in the future.